Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the LCO. It's day one here for Split 1, and you know what that means. Before we jump on into the third game of the day, it's time once again for Menu Log Meal Time. Our friends at Menu Log making us all look like absolute snacks right now. And that's exactly what we're going to be talking about, is our favourite snacks, particularly when you're going to the beach with your mates. What are you having as a snack? What are you packing in your bag, Rusty?
Ooh.
You first.
So the beach is a tough one. Are you sitting on sand?
Yes.
Yeah, so it has to be packaged. Because I'd love to say snacks at the beach is like cheese and stuff. You can't do that. Can't do cheese. There's sand everywhere. So I would say chips.
What about fruit? What about apples?
No, I don't want the risk of sand being on the thing that I'm about to eat, so it stays inside a boxed thing, which is why I'm saying just chips, just packs of chips.
Just take it in the water, wash it off. What do you mean?
Yeah, take it. You can do that if you want.
I will.
I'm a stick to my chippies.
What chops flavor?
Actually, fish and chips is a good one, but that's a meal. That's a whole meal.
Fish and chops.
What flavor?
What
Good
flavor?
question.
You could snack on it if you got fish.
I have
chips.
had tomato chips.
Have a
They
little
go
bit.
hard.
Chips I've never had.
Tomato chips. You haven't had them?
They're like
Yeah, tomato chips.
popular in China.
What do you mean
Tomato flavored chips, like the red ones.
Probably, but
What
like
if I put
ages
ketchup
ago.
on a chip?
It doesn't hit the
They
same.
have they have the Heinz big red chips, right? Like that's our tomato chips.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's essentially what I mean. Yeah.
Anyway, what about you, Kitty? What's your beach snack?
I've been hard craving roasted seaweed, like in the little packets, and that's kind of beach safe. You know, it's in the little packet.
Could wash
but
that in the water.
if you get a little bit of sand in the seaweed, it's just a part of the plan. It's just some extra
Giving back.
seasoning
Salt.
on
Giving back to
that
nature.
seaweed. And I'm gonna go eat some seaweed when I go.
Yeah,
back
I'll
home.
just have some seawater. That's my favourite snack at the
Oh.
beach. You know, it might kill you in a day, but it makes you toughen up, doesn't it? Now, look, we got a game to jump on into. We got Direwolves, we got Mammoth. Let's talk about Direwolves first, because they have some returning faces from last year and, well, multiple years ago as well. So, Skimmy, tell me, what are they going to be able to do this split?
But I'm really excited because this team is a team built with already pre-established synergies, right? The returning duo, or the returning trio, rather, of that incredible PGG 21 run. Chaz, Pradoff, and Decoy make their return. And then Zoranus and Poltron, the only remaining members, actually, of that roster of Direwolves last year. And I like this because I think Poltron, going from coach to player, played phenomenally. I think it's a very hard transition to do. But I think Zoranus was a standout individual because his champion pool was ridiculous. The only person to play that Janna Smite top, he'll literally play anything, right?
Literally.
That didn't
Teemo.
work.
He played
Remember,
Teemo.
the
Look,
Janna Smite top was a turbo int game.
Okay, but like, that's exciting. That's a reason to tune in. That's
yeah,
a reason
so
to be a fan. I
That's
mean,
so true.
he played the Teemo. Me and Rusty were like loving
Solo
it.
killed on the
He,
team.
he
Yep.
gets it done, and Poltron's got this big brain. His parving is phenomenal. He studies up really well, which I think you only really acquire as a coaching brain. And I think for me, Chaz, it's like unfinished business because he comes back in, and once upon a time he would have been saying I was the best in the region, hence why I went to MSI. He's going to come back saying I had my OE overseas in Europe. I want to showcase what I can do, and what better to do it with the boys from a couple years ago.
That is it. That is it, of course. Now, let's talk about Mammoth as well. Lots of people put them at the bottom of the tier list, but they're here to defend themselves. They've still got Voice, who was doing a lot of work last year. Dajong as well, there in mid lane, has turned a lot of heads. But they're still here on Mammoth, and they're still here trying to make it work. Kitty, tell me, how is this going to go for them? Because there's some big names on Direwolves today.
Yeah, Mammoth is definitely a very interesting roster. We have Voice coming back for a second year alongside Mammoth, and I believe this entire roster was built around this ADC player. And throwing it back to 2022, he had such an aggressive gameplay where he's either hit or miss, and it's very dangerous in the current meta because we saw how if you overstep, if you make the wrong play, you're going to get punished for it, especially with all the champions meta. But of course, we also have Dajong, Entrust, and Akano coming from Gravitas 2022, and we have Chi-Chi making his debut game with Mammoth tonight. I believe 3 of them are fluent in Chinese, and I'm very interested in seeing how the communication will work when it comes to these competitive games.
Surely they just default to what
Hopefully
everyone can
English.
understand.
Hopefully English,
Hopefully.
or it'd be pretty tough to be Voice.
Well, the jungler and supporter are Chinese, so it's going to be tough.
True. They
Well,
could default to things.
We'll figure that. If it looks a little bit disjointed, now we might know why. Either way, someone, a returning legend to the LCO, he's here to Chaz it up. Chaz, how are you feeling coming into 2023?
Pretty good. I'm not sure why you're sucking up at the start of the interview. I saw your little split predictions of me in 5th
Oh.
place. Not happy about that.
That's
but
okay.
Everything's going good. Ready to kick back off from 2021.
Yeah, I mean, you also just came back from Europe, and tell us a little bit about what it was like competing in the ERL with MCOM and how the entire EU experience was in general.
My year as a whole was really great. I think in terms of like the gameplay, it was a bit of a step down from where like I guess LCO is right now. So I was a little bit disappointed that was I guess what happened. I was looking for a big, I guess the next step, you know, versing some players that might have been a bit better than me, or like a lot better than me. So really like, you know, learn some things. But my year over there was more so like, I guess about developing some leadership skills. I think my previous teams could have benefited from me being in a leadership role, I guess. So last year was a really big thing for me, I guess, like having to control a bunch of newer players and teaching them things and not ever like stopping talking. You had to be vocal the whole time, otherwise things would just kind of crumble down. So that was a pretty big challenge for me personally, and probably the main thing that I worked on. But yeah, it was a much different vibe compared to Australia, for better or for worse. I'm not too sure, but it was different.
And of course, we can't go into the next match without mentioning the iconic trio of Chaz, Praetor, and Decoy, who represented us OCE at MSI 2021. So my question for you is, are the Backstreet Boys back and going to make it happen again?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I don't think that any of us are here to place 5th place, as some might rate us. We're all coming to win and do our best, and whether we start off strong now or come in at the end of the split doesn't really matter. We're going to be showing off the playoffs, and that's like the goal. We want to make it to MSI. MSI is in London, which is where I was living the past like 11 months. So, you know, I really want to go and play there for sure.
Well, let's see if the Backstreet Boys can make that hit single, you know, hit the top of the charts, or if you're going to be following, you know, my, you know, predictions a little bit further down the table. I don't know. We'll talk about that later. You got a game to get to, Chaz. We'll let you go. It's good to have you back.
Thank you.
Really good to see him.
Yeah.
Really good to see him.
It is so nice to just have a bunch of players come back and ones that we've spoken to so much in the past, because they can talk. Chaz can talk.
Well, he was saying that he had to talk the whole time he was overseas, so he's very good at talking now, but is there going to be enough room for him to talk with everyone else that's on this roster? That's the big
I don't think
question.
Praetor talks.
To be fair, no, he
right.
just sips tea and does his own
Decoy's a
thing.
pretty quiet man.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's going to be a good
Hey,
thing. Now,
back in the day, I believe Zorna said he was shot calling, so that's going to be very interesting still.
yeah, that's true. That's true. Up in the top lane, maybe Chaz is like, look, that's a dumb role for you. You shut up. I'll do the calling now. Easy. Super easy. Now, look, Dare fan vote time. Let's see if you put your Twitch points where your mouth is. You're going to have to. Please. Put them on. Let us know how you think this game's going to go. Is it going to be a Mammoth upset win, or is it going to be Direwolves coming through? Who gets the W? That's the question. And look, we're going to answer it for you with our predictions too. Let's see where we're going. No one's too crazy yet. Oh, I've got a loss? What? How'd that happen? What's going on? Maybe it's time to just go for the underdogs, hey?
Already. It's only day one,
I'm not
mate.
even going to indulge that. It's day one, game
Day one.
3.
Why not, huh? I'm already on the back foot. Damn. Anyway, look, everyone's gone for Direwolves, so we'll see how it goes. We'll see if you guys with the Dare fan vote go for Direwolves too, or if you're going to give Mammoth the benefit of the doubt. Are we thinking there's any pocket picks coming through from any of these individuals?
From Mammoth?
Any of the 10?
I think, does this count as a pocket pick that Chi-Chi will run Ignite?
Yes.
I guess it's a characteristic.
Of course.
I think no matter what champion you play, if you run Ignite, it's a different matchup.
Okay.
So he actually is. I was listening to Maximize and Kelvin's podcast. They were talking about him because I didn't know anything about Chi-Chi, and I've tried really hard to find anything about Chi-Chi, and I learned he runs Ignite and plays like Renekton and Aatrox champions. So I'm going to run with that. That's my current narrative.
I mean, something else that was kind of on the top of my head is that Voice, he plays the Draven and Samira, and maybe Entra's coming back in. He played a lot of those hook and engage champions back in 2022, so we'll see something different compared to the usual, Lucian, Zeri, Resident Sleeper champions.
You know what Voice wants to avoid is being told to play Seraphine.
Oh,
That made us
true.
very sad last year, didn't it?
Very
Very
sad.
sad.
He's a Zeri player though, so I mean,
Yeah.
there's
If Zeri's
a
I
there,
want to
chance
see
he's
Zeri
gonna
or-
Zeri Lulu.
No one wants to see that.
Voice had a couple. Well, he was a really good Callista player, right? So we're probably thinking
Yeah.
he loves
could be
aggression, yeah.
playing Callista, because Callista's pretty meta at the moment, or at least Ray's made it look pretty damn good earlier. So probably see something like that. And if we did have, you know, a hook champ coming through, that would be beautiful. And I'll tell you what else is beautiful.
You.
Champ Select being ready.
Oh.
Yes, me, but also you, Skimmy. But we get you listen to your voice a lot because it's time for the third and final game of the day.
What a game, quick and easy, really, to kick off this opening night here of the LCO in 2023. The Direwolves with a new roster looking to really mount an assault that they want to go back to their former glories when they were claiming all the titles in this region.
Without a doubt, and you'd want to see them start strong. You heard from Direwolves that they may just peak in playoffs, but they'll be there at the very least peaking in those playoffs. We'll see how they start, right? Not where they finish just yet. Yumi going to be taken off the board. Zoe specifically away from Dajong. That is a known.
That's a classic, isn't it? Yes.
That's his identity. So that's going to be removed. Vi also taken off the board. Has been seen a lot as a response to the Zeri specifically, but that's a ban from Direwolves.
2 pocket picks actually removed, right? If you talk about the Zoe, then you have to show credence to the Kindred, also denied away from Poltron, one of his champions that he's played a whole bunch. We meme about the Shaco, but on a serious note, he does love a good Kindred every now and then.
Big Rise is up. You ban away the Zoe, you leave open something like this. Syndra could be seen as well in response potentially. The thing with Kassadin, just so you know, is that usually you won't pick the Kassadin unless you see your mid lane opponent or the Syndra or Ryze are gone. So seeing a Ryze locked in, it's a bit harder to just go for that 100% and lock it in. But it's certainly possible. Chaz can play the pick. He can play a lot of champions. He's been playing the Ryze in solo queue, a bunch of solo queue games from Chaz as he's trying to climb. Very much on the meta with a deep champion pool. And Praedyth, we know, can play the Lucian. Decoy, we know, can play those enchanters. Was kind of forced into more of the Nautilus Leona meta, but does love a good Lulu, Nami, or Braum even style.
Braum especially, I remember, yeah.
Like a defensive melee player if he plays melee champions.
I think the biggest thing for me that I remember from Decoy's time here was his ability to reset and play to another lane straight away. On reset, go top lane. On reset, go mid. And suddenly, like, hang on a minute, this is a 2v1 out of nowhere. It was phenomenal stuff. Really good map understanding. And what is it? Yeah, 3 from 3 with the Lucian Nami so far. No surprises. Cassante comes out now as the next pick before it can be denied away. And Mammoth are going to guarantee, well, if Yumi's not available, we need to get Lulu before that's banned.
And the Cassante it's a very useful pick in the way that team fights work, because you want to be able to separate the Zeri and the Lulu if possible, right? Stop them from kiting. That's something that a Cassante can do with his ultimate. Turning on gamer mode can actually take people over long walls.
Empower all your abilities and go crazy.
Yeah, which removes them from those fights. Now, one thing here as well is with that Cassante lock-in, Chaz's mid pick hasn't been secured. So the Ryze, who has his lane blind picked, can now ban some mid champions that they don't want to deal with. The Kassadin is going to be taken away. Another mid lane champion would be logical, I would say, so you probably do just get rid of the Syndra. And raises the question on where Chaz would go afterwards.
I'm curious to see what his stance is on the meta as a whole right now, because I feel like you definitely have a lot of these control mages, like your Ryzes, like your Syndras and so on, but the Assassins are in there if need be, and certainly Chaz can play it all. I know during the regular season he would stick to the control mages, but during the playoffs it was all Zeds, Kianas,
you could Silas.
Akali's, all the rest, wasn't it?
I think he may consider something like the Silas if Chaz has been playing that one presently. We'll see where exactly he chooses to go, because like you heard in the interview, Silas Akali is the other side of the coin with those Assassins. Fiora and Gwen removed, just making things a little bit better for Zoranus in top lane. Jack's still up. No Gragas to be seen as a diffusal, but it is just a tank. Well, it's not tanks hitting each other, but it's just 2 unkillable parties just duking it out in top lane if that did get locked in. And this is also a champion we spoke about at the top of the day, though it is just a hover so far. Lissandra, of course, with the Ryze being locked in, is not going to be seen, but Lissandra you might see a bit more of.
Could creep in, certainly if there's a lot more aggression with people going in, but Jarvan I think is another one of those junglers that's certainly in the mix of things.
Like that pick.
Why are you not a fan?
Well, who's he going to ult besides the Nami? Lucian's gone. Cassante has dashes everywhere. And there's 2 picks yet to be seen.
And now Poppy going to send you away.
It's an interesting choice. This is also a pick, actually. Under the radar, I would say, since the changes to itemization. But Seros providing a shield, Talia can go tier builds and just spam abilities out in lane, control you, and it's a lot harder to kill her, where Assassins or Dash champions wanted to get on top of her before. I think Talia has a little bit better of a time of it. Poppy gets picked, Jarvan was there, so immediately gets responded to. The ultimate can go through, but you can't flag drag anymore.
I think another big talking point is the fact that you can actually match. If you're not going to be playing a Silas, you can actually match the rotational strength of a Ryze as well with the Weaver's Wall, right? So I quite like that idea. Final pick, what is it to be? It's looking like a Mordekaiser at this stage, which I suppose fills a similar role in some way of a Cassante, right? Isolate out a key member.
Yeah.
Especially if you're getting ganked as well, you can just make it a 1v1.
The funny thing to me is the way that we've been seeing games play out today, and we've been seeing it more than just today around the world, is that people are playing towards their Lucian Nami. They're playing towards their Zeri Lulu.
Yep.
But top laners are picking champions that are like undiveable. There's been a lot of ganks towards top lane when I was watching the LPL. There's a lot of early pressure put up there. But generally speaking, that's because whenever you looked at top lane in the LPL, they're both 10% HP just hitting each other constantly. I don't think we see that much in the LCO. Yet both top laners are going to pick champions that are just like, you can't dive me spec.
You can't kill me, I can't kill you.
Yeah.
Gentleman's agreement, 2 items, let's see what dragon.
So Chi-Chi sees the Cassante, picks the Mordekaiser, says, don't even think about coming up here. I'm just going to ult one of you and be safe under the turret. But at the end of the day, it feels like the game's going to revolve around bot lane again.
It certainly does. And I think in terms of the tools to allow them to find a success, okay, so we got the Jarvan first of all. A lot of mobility to get out of that Cataclysm, which is a bit of a concern. So you're going to be really on the ball as a Kano to make sure that the flag and drag, first of all, is enough to try and bait out something.
Sorry, poor Chaz is being headset gapped. It happens to all of us. When you put your headset on, if you put it on after your glasses, sometimes your glasses are slanted.
Yeah.
It can push one side up or one side down, and Chaz is suffering right now.
He's losing to the tech.
I feel that pain.
Yeah. That'll be me soon. I do need glasses.
Oh, you need glasses?
I'm holding out for as long as I can.
Why? You need glasses to see.
I've been told by the Misso that if we go to Korea, it's going to be a lot cheaper there. So she said, don't spend all this money here. I said, okay.
Glasses aren't that expensive here.
Well, that's apparently the inside scoop. I've been
I'm not going to drop name brands, but I will after.
We can talk about
if any
that another
eyewear
time.
name brands do want to sponsor the LCO, I will talk about you.
Okay.
I will talk about
Let's wear glasses. I'll do it. Why not?
Would legit like to have a designer glasses brand. That'd be kind of cool.
Would be pretty baller.
You wear some hectic glasses.
I can change my vision from 480p back to 1080p again.
480p.
I'm a pixelated Andy right
Oh,
now.
so many pixels.
Yes, mate. Here we go for the final game of the day. A fine time. A big chance, right, for some returning players as well as some new players to show face on new organizations. Direwolves here locking in some familiar picks. Some picks we're expecting to see, new and old, and ones that are ever so meta-dominant. As for Mammoth, a chance to showcase that, yes, Voice, the sole survivor of that 2022 roster, a comp, once again, you'd say, has been built around him. Can this time the Zeri pop off?
And Voice has been known as a Zeri player. Voice does like to play those new champions, and this is one of the most creative ADCs that we've released in a while, or seen released in a while. I had no part in it. So Voice, I do think he is an acceptable player to play towards, but like we said with Dante, every ADC is good. Praetor, Decoy are fantastic. Can they actually deal with pressure that goes down there? Chaz, if you think back to Pentiment in 2021, was playing Zoe himself, was roaming bottom at level 3 and was looking to dive. They've got strategies and playbooks that exist to not let Voice get a lead. One difference, though, is its barrier heal. There's no cleanse. They want to survive.
They want to live, yeah, absolutely. I'm sure Kitty is writing down notes furiously as Data's bot lane could potentially play out. Should be an exciting affair either way. So let's crack on and see if there are any level 1 shenanigans. It's not looking to be the case just yet. But I'm curious to see sort of the brand of League of Legends that takes place, right? Because, yes, it is that same trio from 2021, but a lot has changed, as you heard from Chaz in his interview when he had spent all that time in Europe, right? What does it mean? Are you still playing that same identity where you play for me? I'm going to be your star of the show. I'm the one that needs to do all the items. Or has something changed amongst all this time where you've said, I've matured, I've developed, I feel like, you know, I can add X, Y, Z to the mix now. Let's play for this instead. One
thing I will say about Chaz as well is, from what I saw when he was over there with Crabbles, Guncrab earlier, they were both very high-ranked players in the EUS solo queue, which is a very big solo queue server. The average skill level is a lot higher over there. The player base is a lot higher over there. Which is always a positive point. So if he was working on team play while playing in his ERL league, he was still playing EUS solo queue and grinding out the ranks there. Little W start for the Lucian down here in bottom lane, usually indicative of a first strike Lucian who wants to just play into fairly close range carry. Zeri is also a very predictable AD carry, right? The way that your Q works, being that it can't go through minions, means you position outside of the wave to last hit, which means that the W is free to connect. Free first strike damage and a bit of extra damage from the Nami as well.
Has been first strike every game, I believe. And I know last season when it came into fruition, where you're suddenly saying this is the new tech, this is the new idea about it, it was, oh, what do you go, PTA versus this? And I think there was this whole discussion about, based on your lane draw, based on what you're up against, is it a tank support, is it an enchanter, what can you really get away with? free money, especially if you've been aggressive with a Nami there to buff you at any given moment. Why not?
And also, if you are in a lane where you get to choose the trades,
Yeah.
right, which is why First Strike can be so valuable. If you're in a lane where you don't get a choice on when the trades take place, First Strike loses stocks because it goes on cooldown from just taking damage.
Yeah.
So you have to keep that in mind. You have to play around its cooldown, and I think Lucian Nami definitely one of those lanes where you get to be the aggressor. You get to choose on your terms when you're going forwards, because no one wants to dash at you. If they do, they are inting. Speak of the devil. Big trade lost, wave in an awkward spot.
Copped a bit of beating, but can potentially bait them into a false sense of hope. Still has that barrier available, and obviously a shield and a heal there to complement with a Lulu.
No potions left. Voice has chugged everything. Poltron is not going to walk out. Sweeper not going to find the ward that is in the river till just now. We'll spot it the last second. May or may not clear it. And there's the new ward pings. So they know it's there. They'll know the timing of it. But the main point there is Voice, no potions, is low health. Praedyth, Biscuits, 2 potions remaining. In good stead.
Really
Lulu.
comfortable spot. And it just allows him to do things like this here. Rusty, be aggressive, even a 1v2. What a bubble! An even better flash to respond had to be used.
And Poltron's coming around. Bone plating just got proc, so Voice is even at risk of potentially dying, but Lulu is the target. Barrier's there for Voice. Heal for Entrust.
They're trying to crash it as quickly as they can. That's a TP. Might it be a little bit too late? No, that's enough to say you need to back away. Bubble's going to miss. Decoy's now in trouble. He might get run down here by Voice, who's got the rapid fire active.
They used the heal on the Lulu as well. I think Decoy using a heal of his own. Very hard to chase down a Nami, especially when heal gives movement speed. Nami's passive with abilities can provide the same. And very limited animation time spent on Nami's abilities. I like the idea. They still go. They get first blood very easily done here by Praedyth and Decoy.
Here I thought we just calmed the waters. We said, okay, you've had a shot, we've had a shot. No, we're going back in for more. One more wave.
But again, it comes down to the health advantage. How can they make that play? Well, Voice was stuck and Trust was stuck. Summoners were there, to be fair, just maybe miscalculating or not understanding how much damage was going to come across. As we quickly check in with top lane, a.k.a. Beefcake's just hitting it out. Just having a whack.
The 1v1 Titan ults.
Just in the driving range, really. Everyone else is actually playing golf.
It only is a bit of a swing and a miss. What a time it would be if we did return back to carries, most importantly in the jungle, right? If we had, you know, the likes of Kha'Zix and Elise and so on come back into the fold of things, and suddenly junglers get to be the star of the show once again. Suffice to have to stay on bruiser duty.
I wonder if there's a world where... Nah, probably not, because you're relying... I was going to say, like Cassante support would play. Because you could stop champions like Janna from Tornado doing anything with your W, right? Because it stops you from being knocked up.
Then you knock, yep.
And then you stay in close proximity to
charge back at them.
Yeah, just a thought. The ultimate alone is powerful enough to perhaps warrant that being a possibility.
Like a new take on Poppy support.
Yeah, but you'd have to have a strong basic ability, which is what Set had, right? Like, why is Set such a good support? Hex Flash buffed, and then his E was like the reason.
Facebreaker was pretty
OP. I don't think Cassante has that without hitting Q 3 times, so it's probably not viable.
I'm sure there's somebody out there crunching the numbers.
Callista could work with it.
Yeah, chuck them in.
Man, I wouldn't listen to me, though. I play Callista Yasuo support. I think that's goated. It's just a free ult.
Get to sit here for hours, listen to the theory crafting of what you practice in normal games once and say it's ranked ready.
So, observers are very astutely showing us that Poltron has pressed S on a ward for 6 weeks. Voice is in.
Certainly is, and he's in with success. Finds a nice kill onto Poltron that was really behind enemy lines just a fraction too long, and would you believe it, that is a kill in the top lane where we thought nothing would happen.
Yeah, Zoranus has managed to find the solo kill. No ignite, so my prediction is not correct, but maybe that's the difference. Still a lot of control up there for him. And while you can pick a Mordekaiser and be a bit more of a scaling option, gets picked apart pretty early by the ultimate that can be used by Zoranus. So uses all-out mode, locks him down. Would love to see exactly how that worked, where he used the ult. Was it over the wall? You know, was it just a really nice timing? But either way, we know Zoranus is a fantastic laner.
No doubt one of his fundamentals. I mean, he spent, what, rank 1 and O's for such a long time last year. I remember every single time we checked in with it, it wasn't budging. Just highlights his proficiency, just playing literally anything. Let's see how he actually navigates this one. You imagine it goes into that bush on his side.
Zoranus looking to probably stack the third Q. Chi-Chi sitting very close range to him, has no E.
Drags him in.
And that's it.
Yeah, knocks him back. Okay.
The last minion's gone. Yeah. Just finds him, locks him down. That's pretty straightforward stuff. And that was Chi-Chi unfortunately spacing a little bit poorly there, though. It was far too close to Zoranus who had that Q3 stacked up.
Deceptive range, isn't it, right? When you stack up that drag back.
Well, it's the fact that he has dashes to set it up as well. Like, it's not just the drag back, it's the range that he can actually throw that from. And then couple it with the ultimate when he has it. So powerful. Looks like a lot's happened bottom as well.
Yeah, certainly not shy of a good old brawl. And a two-kill Lucian at this point really is the dream scenario. I feel like we're beating a dead horse by repeating this one. Once again, it's the bubble to start things off with.
Voice dashes. Cleanse was used pretty early there, just to try and get him out so that he could continue to apply damage. Voice seems like he did control this 2v2 really nicely. And then he just kept going.
Great patience, though, from Praetor just to play around his cooldowns.
Absolutely.
Oh, Chaz. Well, he's made a miracle happen there, but now Akano's got... Oh, he's missed a bubble.
Decoy.
That's it, Decoy.
Hit the auto.
One more auto.
No, hit another auto.
Poltron, please.
Oh, okay.
That was agonizingly close to being a disengaged angle there from Akano. Now Poltron's come in and swept the ladder. Baseball knocked it out of the park with a double kill when... Well, it almost looked like a nightmare there.
And Trust flashes trying to save him, but doesn't have the heal or the shield up in time. A real tragedy. Top gonna have another little bit of a brawl. It's a nice lane for Cassante to get some grass procs off as well. Chi-Chi gone for the Conqueror, but... Okay, so, to recap kind of everything that's just happened, it was really nice use of cooldown timings by Direwolves, but it was also Mammoth not recognizing those cooldowns and really walking into melee range of the Lucian. Just trying to push their advantage a bit too far. Zeri is one of those champs that likes movement speed, has very good movement speed compared to everyone else. Doesn't come in short bursts, the damage though, not until later when the items are on board. That's what Lucian has, longer cooldowns, higher burst damage. So they find the 2v2. Mid, a hectic skirmish actually. And you saw why it's so difficult to play Jarvan into this team with a 4-5 of a Talia and a Poppy. The ability to press Q and E is non-existent. And then a tidal wave exists as well if it comes to it. So I wasn't big on this Jarvan pick in draft, but the ultimate itself, you're probably looking to lock down the Talia and the Nami. They're your two targets.
Yeah, try and break apart the components that make this Star Wars composition ever so strong, ever so annoying to deal with. It won't just be a Lucian Nami versus the world, that's for sure. That's the first dragon picked up as a result as well. 2k gold lead now at the 10-minute mark. A great chance for Poltron to go back, get a little bit more juice in the tank, and continue to be a menace as he tracks where Akano's going.
And with Drake gone, with Herald available, it doesn't seem like Mammoth are going to go there immediately to contest this one by any means. It does feel like they are still playing towards the bottom side of the map. However, the timing of this play towards bottom, if they were to get anything, they would be getting Decoy being a bit of a troll looking for 20 gold by auto-attacking the turret.
Yeah.
His AD carry was recalling. Decoy, Danny just said, I want another bit of money in the bank. I don't have a reason to base. And he had no other lanes to play towards because the recall timers from Chaz as well were the same as Praetor, and Poltron was on the other side of the map. But look, Herald's up. That should be the play. Poltron finds Akano. He can't flag drag out if he continued to chase that one down. That was a world Poltron committed to that.
I was going to say, you just put up the shield.
It's a flashless Jarvan.
You can't flag and drag away, that's for sure.
Perhaps just afraid of where the rest of the team was. Didn't know they were in base. They've been missing for, 30, 45 seconds as Fog of War is concerned. So you would expect they would have been there.
Felt comfortable enough with that wallbang trade that was an avenue for them to rush their Herald, but with Vision being a miss and not really knowing where the rest of the Mammoth squad is, they decide to peel away. Back to lanes they go. They've got a lead, but they don't want to throw it away.
Shallow ward placed there by Chaz to see if anyone was in mid lane, threatening him before he one-taps the wave because Herald has been started. So they force priority in mid. They'll play towards the objective. Rise stuck either dealing with the wave or coming towards the objective and missing out on it. Chaz, first there. Praetor, going to be first there by a country mile, as Voice wants nothing to do with the fight.
Yeah, just a little late to the party, really. The ability to hover there in mid lane if need be, if a fight were to break out, if a numbers advantage was necessary.
Chainsword Jarvan. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know, Skimmy.
Okay.
Why? Does the ability haste help the Jarvan? If yes, Black Cleaver exists. Does the healing cut help the Jarvan into the enemy team? There's a Nami. Lucian doesn't build lifesteal anymore, it seems. They just do Gale Force Lucidity builds. It has health. Black Cleaver has that.
Yeah, it would be nice to see full tank build.
Gore Drinker.
Full tank build just to stay alive as long as possible, given the concerns about the mobility being cancelled. We'll have to see if it finds any real value. So it was an argument at the end of last year where it was just a cheap item spike and you would just rush it regardless of what you were playing.
That is exactly what it is. But I guess the challenge is other items exist that could fill a similar function. Maybe some aren't as cheap, but some have like, for example, Iron Spike Whip is a cheaper spike because it has an active and an immediate purchase in a component.
It's literally a spike as well.
Yes, it is
There
literally
you go.
a spike.
So it's a 2-for-1.
Also a whip.
Culling goes out, plate is acquired, and the Herald successfully is going to get the charge off. Members in the area there to protect if a fight were to break out. And Trust is maybe overstepped here as he loses 50% of his health bar.
I don't know if he's trying to bait the fight there, but like melee range Lulu is going to take a fair chunk of damage. Dajong back towards mid lane is going to try and get that Scuttle Crab, but is afraid. Finds Poltron, but the sweeper's going to deny vision, so he's not even going to be able to play a piece of damage down. Back towards mid. And it feels like business, right, for Direwolves. They're doing their job. Chaz permanently keeping priority in mid.
Yeah.
Dajong doing his best to maintain that. Ryze can obviously clear extremely quickly. It's a Rod of Ages Ryze build, so pretty comfortable just sitting back, scaling up with his tier as well. But it doesn't feel like at an even game state anything's going the way of Mammoth, right? Like, what do they have? They have a Jarvan and a Lulu who are looking for a team fight combo. Press the ult, knock them up, keep them locked in the cage. Mordekaiser to pull someone away from the fight. So whether that's the Lucian from the Nami, maybe even pull the Nami away from the team and make it a lot easier to lock them down.
Yeah.
There's options there, right? You still have a really good ult target of the Taliyah, though it is pretty difficult to kill the Taliyah if you pull her in. Will be a Zhonya's build and can push you away with the flick. And it's just about Zeri, right? Like, this is a game that's being taken, it feels like consciously slow from Mammoth. They're not forcing anything, but they're also not, like, setting things up. They're being opportunistic, not active. And I don't think that wins games. I think they are now relying on and using their scaling as a crutch to win the games.
I would say so. It feels to me as if they are giving up as much as they can without falling ever too far behind. There's a safety net, a barrier, if you will, of, well, Ryze gets 2 items, Zeri gets 2 items. Yes, as it stands right now, Direwolves have Mythics across the board. They are highly, highly strong compared to us. As long as we don't fall behind by more than, say, 10k, maybe there's a world.
Yeah, 10k.
Maybe there's a world.
I mean, also speaking frankly, there's no boots for Dajong. It's going to be a phase rush Andy. That's the only way he's going to move quick at the moment. Goes for the Neasley Large Rod, which to me reads as a power spike for damage, which is an indicator that perhaps they wanted to fight, but the objective's gone. So at this point, you probably would rather have Merc Treads, which is stronger for your lane, and stops the Poppy from getting a kill combo with the Taliyah if they wanted, but has opted towards the damage pathway.
I guess the question is, do you prefer a slow fade where you're just slowly bleeding out, knowing the inevitable, just given how strong Direwolves are at the moment? Or do you say, well, if we entertain a fight right now, they are just stronger with the itemization, so we just accelerate that loss condition for ourselves? It's an interesting discussion, I think, as to how do you really approach that when you are at a deficit?
I guess you have to look at it like, is the scaling enough that they can afford to lose this much, right? And I think that right now, playing against a Lucian Nami comp with a lead, particularly through those players, really dangerous. So they're going to have to play not just slow, but losing in terms of control for a while. They've got a Taliyah that can open areas of the map to let them play aggressively. The Lucian culling comes through with a Nami Tidecaller's Blessing. A Poppy to ult people away from objectives if you look to contest this. Dajong going to try his best though. Good trade so far.
Really good trade right now, but he's in a really undesirable position. Could have had the charge against him.
Here.
Of course he does! The fadeaway culling just out of range.
I feel like that's actually Decoy's bad for going around the flank with Poltron instead of just amping up Praetor, throw the
Tidal wave. Yeah.
Go with Praetor. I don't know if that was just them not communicating, but I think there might have been a kill there. Either way, there he goes.
Well, Voice says it's time to shine. He's going to flash in with the lightning crash. He wants to make something happen. This gets knocked out of the park, says you're not doing anything. Meanwhile, Direwolves are just winning in the mid lane. They're forcing pressure. They forced out an ultimate. That's the Death Realm consumed, and to no real success.
Yeah. Chaz teleported in, does get ulted, but ultimately he also is able to save his stopwatch. Mammoth going to stand on a ward as they walk through towards mid, not going to find anything. And I think the crazy thing for me is Direwolves, it feels like they could be winning even harder.
Sure.
Everything that Mammoth's attempting has just been handled, has been dealt with. Mischief managed, right? Poppy ult comes through. Voice can't be a solo carry if he's on the other side of the rift. And they continue to push forwards, get pet owned, it seems.
And that's what the observers are highlighting there. Mr. Poltron stolen away his mid laner's blue buff.
I forget the name of the blue one, but it's one of the evolutions. Gives movement speed in the river. It's actually all like coming out of bushes. It's a very...
I forget that one. It's Moss Stomper and it's Scorch Claw. What's the blue one? I forget that one.
Yeah.
It just makes you go zoom zoom.
It's the water walking rise bug.
Yes, mate.
I don't know its name.
It's the blue boy.
Blue boy. 1 minute 30 till Drake. Early vision on the bottom side river here from Mammoth. Could be something they play towards Poltron. It's just in his face.
In his face.
How you
Look
going?
at that.
Are you on a base?
I will let you base. Just letting you know, your turret is gone.
Whole turret gone. Second charge being looked at as well. You would expect Poltron actually about to have his ult back up and available. Worst case scenario, you ult away the whole minion wave to get that Herald charge.
And no response from Mammoth.
It's free.
No one's coming to back up Dajong.
It's another free turret.
2 turrets off a reset. And Mammoth are caught really up a river without a paddle saying, I guess we put 2 turrets or 2 auto attacks into a turret. There's a flash with the E and Q. The Flagger Drag is there. The flash away from Praetor. With a Gale Force for good measure as well. In comes Chaz. Weaver walling into success and pebbling them down with a bit of damage as the Rift Realm, with the Realm Warp rather, isn't really going to find its mark.
Classic Mark Lewis moment there, but look, he gets out with his life intact. Not a lot of, again, not a lot of lockdown crowd control. If this Jarvan was a Sejuani, maybe
story.
It's a different conversation that we have because it's a free ult straight to the face of the man. Of course, he has the cleanse, but you've got other forms of lockdown. It's just an example. The Jarvan comes in, can't hit the flag drag because the Lucian's already dashed. Has the Gale Force and the flash to get out to safety, and Chaz can come through. Not just breaking 2 turrets in top lane, but getting there before the rise to assist because he was dealing with a wave in top first. Direwolves control the rift. It is theirs.
And now they want to steal away the enemy blue. This is Chaz's for sure. He does get it. And now he can really hit them with a vengeance. He's got 2 items complete. That is the Seraph's Embrace as well. Still has that stopwatch preserved. And as it stands with the unsealed spell, but Ghost and Flash.
They find the Drake being done here. They find Poltron. We'll see how the Mordekaiser plays this one out. I'm curious who he ults. Zoran is on a big flank.
Here we go, bring up team fight damage. Looking to see who really is going to be the standout contender in this one.
Jarvan
Early
gone.
knockback of Jarvan. That means that Dragon is free. The fight's going to break out instead. Dragon is no longer the priority. Chi-Chi's dead, gone. Actually sent to his own death realm now. The Dragon is secured. That's Poltron putting in work. That's him doing his jungler's due diligence. And they're just finding win upon win into another 20-minute Baron.
And it just, the damage done in that team fight reflects exactly how it went. Praetor from the back, Zoran is from the flank. Right, they're able to just apply damage with really limited contest. Mordekaiser can't even press R, that's how difficult it was for him. Baron on the cards, high damage from Chaz. He's got vision to protect his current position. Can throw out some rocks. Can keep and trust at bay very easily. Akano's going to try his best to get over. But he just used his flag. That's the vision.
Madness. That would be madness. He doesn't have flash. What is he doing now? He's just going to die for free. There's the bubble. There's the wild growth. It's not letting them anything right now. It's a freebie. It's a flag and drag to safety. An HP bar that has seen better days. But it is 2 successful opportunities claimed by the Direwolves.
And we'll see this Drake fight one more time because the Poppy starts this one off by pushing out Akano, so there is no engage from Mammoth. Dajong is busy dealing with an unkillable tank. So he is not putting any damage down to Praetor or to Chaz up until the point that they dash in his face. That's the only time someone takes damage here. Praetor's more at risk of running out of mana before he is health. It wasn't a team fight from Mammoth. They were routed. They were beaten by where the battlefield was and how it was set up before the battle started. To be fair, they were from draft as well, right? They just discovered a Macedonian phalanx and they're just a bunch of horses.
True.
There you go, there's a reference for you.
Why not? Let's go back.
There's a reference for you.
Let's run it back a few BCs.
Just a couple of BCs in the bank.
Well, we've seen this story already twice tonight. You get a Baron buff, you get a few towers. Wouldn't you know? I thought 10k might be the magical number that you have to avoid, but we're getting dangerously close to it. 2 items have been now complete by your star carries in a Rise and in a Zeri. But you've got to look at what their opposition have, and it's just a little bit too much to answer back.
Deathcraft not finding its mark. Mordekaiser struggling. At this point in the game, well and truly struggling, to say the least. Jarvan can't find an engage angle. Mordekaiser pulls the Poppy in.
Yeah, he's taking the Poppy. Why is that being the case? Akano missed the flag and drag. The wave goes out. Chaz went golden flashes out. And a Cataclysm. Akano's ankles have been absolutely shattered. Headbutt against the wall. Bowl to knock him up. CC, unbelievable chef's kiss.
Chaz is coming.
You love to see it. And then Chaz jumps in. He gets polymorphed. He cops the shoot. He gets blocked by his own wall, but he survives. And he drips a cup of tea.
I mean, the Seraph's Embrace changes, saving his bacon there for sure. Chaz has teleport. Direwolves, 24 minutes on the clock, and they want to wrap this one up.
What a quick affair for a day one event. Every game, 25 minutes, and it is done. It is over. You get Baron at 20 minutes on the dot, and it's lights out. You'd love to see it. The favorites on the day from game 1, 2, 3. They've showcased why they are the favorites, why they are the teams to look out for. And as it stands, it is another dominant victory to close out the day.
Locked Akano in a cage here, known as his own fountain, tries to dash out, but the Poppy's not even going to allow that to happen. Well and truly done and dusted here, Direwolves. You'd see smiles on the face. It's good to have Decoy back in the lead. It's good to have Chaz back as well. The train conductor, it felt like, moving around the rift. Was able to get it done, find the gold leads, and Mammoth, to be completely honest with you, just gapped in draft. And that did not slow down from draft because it was just so hard to play. The Jarvan couldn't find an angle because an angle doesn't exist most of the time. And Prater tried to give him angles. He actually tried.
BL is all I can say. But look, that was an interesting affair. It was great to see what Direwolves can do with the old core 3 of PGG, bringing them all back. The Backstreet's back all right, it seems, Kitty.
Yep, they were definitely back. I was just zoning out, but let's talk about that game because we see the Lucian versus Zeri once again, and this is a shower thought from earlier of today. If I were to pick one between the two, I think I would favor towards the Lucian because think about it, Zeri is a late game champion that has a weak early game. So you really need to have perfect execution on this champion and you can't make too many mistakes and overextend, which is what unfortunately Voice did in that game. And I believe he went 2 deaths from laning phase. And of course, Lucian, he just has a 1 item spike with the Nami Imperial Mandate as well. So it's a lot easier to pull off and you just have to play aggressive and move forward. But look at this laning phase. So Voice unfortunately thought he had a bit of time to do some extra trading, but boom, comes the Nami E and Lucian combo and he is dead. And you can't make those mistakes when you are the main carry of Mammoth while you're waiting for Dajong to hit his level 16 spike with the Roa and Seraphs in hand. But like Rusty has been saying the entire game, this Jarvan pick was very, very silent. I didn't see it doing anything the entire game. Even when Maki gave that opportunity in the mid lane, he has one ability that locks down the Lucian and doesn't have a follow-up, and he just kind of did the banana combo away with the Gale Force and Flash, and he goes unpunished. So we can't let those criminal activity go fall right through our eyes. But very clean win from Dials. I did really enjoy the Poppy and Talia from Dials because we saw a lot of focus going towards the strong side of bot, and it worked out perfectly.
Did you guys see the flames going crazy on the rift there? Is that the
Mortal?
Is that the Mortal?
Yeah, that was the arena, so you don't get to see the Death Realm, you just see the circle.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, that was going on. Because all the lights in the circle were going crazy. Hadn't seen that one before. Either way, having a quick look here, again, you can see that Direwolves, it was relatively easy picking. I feel like the other 2 games we saw today, the gold graph was pretty close up until the 20-minute mark, and then something sort of flipped it in a different direction, but this was kind of a slow and steady approach.
Something else that's been happening every single game at the 20-minute mark is Baron has been dying at 20 minutes.
It's always been a big dragon fight before, hasn't it?
Yeah, 22 minutes Baron every single game today. And honestly, you know, I didn't expect such fast games coming into patch 13.1, but good for the teams that have been collecting the wins so far. But yeah, looking at the damage graphs, the Jarvan obviously did not do as well as expected, but I think we can definitely change this thing to a Sejuani or even Maokai if it was available in the banning phase.
What do you think, in terms of AD carries, what do you think about replacing like a Zeri Lulu scaling composition with something like a Caitlyn Heimer or like a Varus,
Yeah,
like some way to be a little bit more aggressive in the bot lane, to say that if we are playing around, you know, our solo lanes and whatnot here to back us up, let's not just all in on that classic 30-40 minute, we win a big team fight, I've got 4 items, let's just punch on early. Matchy.
Punch on early.
Punch-ons, mate. Yeah, get in there.
Make it
Level
happen.
1, punch-ons.
Let's get rowdy.
Look, Chaz certainly did Chaz it up there in mid, so good to have him back. Good to have some of these, I'm going to say, traditional mid laners, none of these role-swapped mid laners coming through, people that play mid, playing mid. It's great to see them when they make it happen. Look, Praedyth almost had a little bit of a hiccup at mid towards the end of the game, but either way, Poltron was there to lock it all down, say, what are you doing, mate? And we got him here for the interview as well. Poltron, tell me, is your master plan finally all unraveling now you've managed to scavenge these 3 ex-PGG members?
Yeah, look, it's definitely coming together, Mac. I think in my second split as a player, I've managed to get a really top-tier roster. I'd say at least top 2. Obviously, our goal is to win the whole thing. I think Chiefs are probably our competition, at least for the split, but obviously, you know, Pantanet, big names. It's going to be a fun split either way.
We love competition coming into LCO, and of course, day 1, such a banger performance from the side of Dials. And I love listening to your insights about what the meta has for us in patch 13.1. So did draft go according to your plans?
Well, Mammoth triple banned me, and that was interesting. I'll say, luckily, I mean, we knew Akano would probably pick Jarvan. He's a big Jarvan player. I actually coached him back when he was on Gravitas with me a couple years back. But yeah, Poppy, really good into Jarvan. Talia also counters Jarvan hard. Feel bad for the man. He had a really rough game. All my laners just yapped them. So overall, satisfied with today's win, but just the first one of many.
Oh, sounds good. Now, who's doing the howling from the Wolves? Because we know that you're coming from that ex-coach role. We know that Zoranus used to do a lot of the calling. And we know that Chaz, he was saying in the pre-game that he's very vocal as well and had to do a lot of the calling overseas. So who's taking the reins right now?
Look, I will say it is very hectic. Everyone definitely has a loud voice in the team. It can sometimes be a bad thing where we have 5 different people saying completely different things in the game. I think in that game, I'm like, oh, look on me, I have a stun angle. And then Praedyth was saying, Nami, buff me, I'm going in. And I think Zoranus was calling, oh, Mordekaiser's got a flank. And, you know, it can be hectic. But I think after we play a few more games together, we'll settle in and we'll all be on the right page going forward.
For sure, for sure. And of course, it's only week 1 and you've already grabbed your first win of the day. So congratulations, we're going to send you off so you can prep for tomorrow's game. Best of luck in that one. And say hello to the boys from me.
Especially Chaz.
Thank you. I will do. Don't worry about that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Poltron.
Always a pleasure.
Sounds about right, though, doesn't it? During the game, we were like, that could be even better. And so it's very clear in their comms that could be so much better.
That could be so much
better.
Because
there was 3 different pages going at the same time there, yeah.
Well, let's get on the same page. Let's figure out who the Dare MVP is for the 3rd and final game of the day. Any takers? Any suggestions?
That's a good question. I would probably say Chaz, but like bot lane won pretty hard themselves, but it just never felt like it was, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
But Maki did that really questionable flank in mid lane when 3 Mammoth players are pushing up to that tower.
Yeah.
So no MVP for him. Bad
Okay,
Marky, bad
okay.
Marky, punished.
Okay, so we've 1 out of the 5 out of the equation.
I'm
what about
conflicted.
Zoranus?
I'm conflicted because I was looking at Zoranus or Chaz. Chaz for the reasons that he put so much pressure in mid that he was out-rotating a Rise.
Yeah.
That he was able to hold on to his stopwatch even though he was under pressure. He was able to make sure that the Mordekaiser really wasn't a relevant factor. Speaking of that, Zoranus obviously getting a solo kill and just doing as much damage as a Fed Lucian in those big team fights. So I'm really like on the fence, 50-50 between the 2 of them. Surely there's like a swing vote over here.
Look, Chaz, because think about it. they were playing for the Rise win condition and scaling into late game. But if we take a look at the timer, 23 minutes, 3 dragons. I really wonder how they got so much bot lane pressure, and it has to go over to Chaz because he was really linked up with Poltron the entire game.
Well, Chaz knows I'm sucking up to him, so I'm going to go with Chaz as well. So hopefully he can forget that my power rankings existed and forgive me because, look, we had a little bit of tension a little while ago. But now that's all under the bridge, huh, buddy? Hey, here's your Dare MVP. Good job, Chaz.
Get out of here.
There you go. Get out of here, buddy. 2-1-5, 58% KP. But look, 36% of the damage. It won't live up to what we saw from Kisei earlier, but it still is a very high percentage of the damage.
I mean, it's a hard number to beat that Kisei got before, right? What was it,
Oh, yeah.
12, 0 and something or other?
6?
Yeah, it's just
46% KP.
the dream Cassadine game. But Chaz is up there, right? This is his first game back, as you heard from Poltron as well, right? Fun in the feed again, but it just showed that pre-established synergy of them sort of knowing what their tendencies are as a pair, top jungle, and the rest on the bottom half of the map. So I think they can only get better from here.
Very good. Very good indeed. And that brings us to the post-show. Towards the end we go, which means it's time again to jump on into the play of the day. Any plays that tickle you guys' fancies?
I'm gonna
Game
say,
1 had good fights.
I'm going to say
For
that last
sure.
team fight where Kisei gets the quad.
But the dive from
maybe.
PGG was so clean.
Oh.
I
Yeah,
can't shut up
actually,
about
The
yeah,
Ari dive,
yeah.
the Ari dive.
the Ari dive, the second dive.
Yeah,
as
the one where
well.
Appy tanks the turret.
Yeah, stopwatch,
Yeah.
Perfect, perfect.
Well, it's not that one. It is from the first game of the
Riding.
day.
Oh.
Riding.
It's the first
Guys of
ace
cringe.
coming through from Chiefs. So Kitty's dead from cringe, but let's have a look at what the play of the day was anyway. And it was this turnaround where Team Bliss decided to, maybe do a couple of things. They had no Nami ult, that got invested early, and then Kisei jumps into the party, chases it down, and gets this ace, as well as the Cloud Drake, which had been softened up as well.
Essentially the reason Chiefs were able to run away with this game, right? Because Bliss were keeping up with them the whole time. They looked like an even match. They got some picks towards mid lane. They were looking for this play, and the Chiefs just shut them out, as we know they were capable of in the past. They've proven they are still able to do with ease.
Real clean. Real clean. Kisei as well, showing exactly how he got half of that damage. He bloody pumped out that game too. And Team Bliss, look, maybe not all on the same page. We didn't get to have a post-match with them, so we don't know what's gone wrong. But we can definitely check Twitter at some point to figure that one out. Now, it's time to have a look at where everyone's sitting pretty on the standings. We are going to see Direwolves up top, Pentanet, Kanga, and the Chiefs all with those Ws. So have a look, take a screenshot. It might be the highest Direwolves ever get on this schedule.
Ooh.
Yeah, you can't make your mind up. Bipolar Chaz friendship.
Yeah, I'm having fun. It's day one. Look, I'm a little bit unhinged right now. But Kanga as well, this might be the highest they get, depending on how they play. We don't get to see him play because that, of course, was the forfeit win. Peace. 0-1 at the moment. GZ, Mammoth, and Team Bliss all in that bottom half of the leaderboard. And we get to see this shift immensely over the coming weeks because it's still early days in the round robin.
Yeah, very early days. And I do want to highlight, out of all the teams that lost a game today, Team Bliss definitely had very promising moments with Lehman's shining on that Lucian. And even Benvi played it relatively well. It was just unfortunate there was a happening in the mid lane with the Akali, but I'm sure Daystar has a lot more to offer. It was just game 1 and maybe the rust or the nerves playing in LCO for the first time, so more chances for him.
Or maybe lack of chemistry. They need to work on that as the weeks go on, so hopefully that happens. Either way, we have a local legend of League of Legends on the line. His name's Fido, and he's here to have a quick chat. Because Kanga, of course, this is the winner's interview, isn't it? You guys got the easiest W alive today. Congratulations, Fido.
Yeah, look, some people said that the perfect game doesn't. Today, Kanga, perfect game piece. So
amazing. Immaculate form. Now, Cook, look, tell me quickly how you guys are going to be cooking this split. What's the goals? Of course, you've got a lot of youngsters there. You're like the old head of the team.
Oh, don't do him like that, Mac.
Like, older head of the team. Look, you can be 1 year older. You're still older. That's all right. Look, you're looking young. That's what matters. Either way, what are the goals and what are your plans this split with Kanga?
we want to go into every game expecting to win or lose, but just playing to win. Any team, and on a bad day, we could also lose. Right now, I think my biggest goal is to make sure that all my their roles when we call a play. I think that's the biggest struggle with Master, right? Is coming up with like good communication, like efficient communication, short words, short like, so that people can focus on their own game, but also like, okay, we're playing for this. So at the early stage.
Yep, of course you're coming in with the veterancy and experience being the player that will guide all these youngsters to some sort of game plan, because we have Blue coming in for the first time. We also have Mayfan, who just has a tiny bit of experience. Rusty, shut up right now. And then we also have, of course, Hooper and Shinky in that bot lane now. So who really stands out to you as that star player, other than yourself, of course, on Kenga?
I think they all stand out. I think they're all one players for most seasons, so individually they never lose lane like against anyone outside of exceptions. Yeah, anybody can carry it, and it's just like in comp, it's like when you're carrying, you and say what you want, what your chance to win. So when somebody gets ahead, that's developing is saying like the overall game players are saying what they need to succeed. Whoever's ahead. So.
Well, it was very unfortunate that we didn't get to see Kenga perform for day 1, but hopefully we get to see the boys shine for tomorrow's day 2 performance. And best of luck in that match, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks.
Great communication, huh?
I'm so sorry. I could not stop laughing when he said we're focusing on communication and it cut out.
I think it just cut out a little bit.
It's like, that's just so good.
And then Rusty got the giggles, and it gave me the giggles, and I couldn't keep a straight face. So I apologise, Fido. That's what we were laughing at.
That's my fault, Fido.
But look, we're all a little wet-eyed here. It was a great day. It was a sad day, but also a happy day. Only happy tears here. But look, we've got tomorrow's schedule to have a look at as well. Sorry, I'm a little flustered after that. It was good to talk with Fido. But look, tomorrow's schedule, we got 3 games again because, of course, Peace can't play. So that means Mammoth are going to be 1-1. So congrats on the easiest win. They're going to get this split. But let's kick off with the start of the day, of course. Pentanet up against Kanga. So we get to see Kanga, how they perform, of course. It's going to be their first time this year showing what they can do with their new roster. And you heard what Fido had to say about it just before. Now, 7 p.m, we got GZ up against the Chiefs, so that's going to be another tough game for GZ. We'll see how they fare, of course. Chiefs, they're looking immaculate right now. Kisei, just spectacular performance today. We'll see if he's going to be able to back that up. 8 p.m, Team Bliss and Direwolves. This one, if we had a match of the week, I'd be putting that one as it, because it's looking real close right now, and I don't know which way that one would go. It's
looking like the game of the day for a reason, absolutely. Based on the form we saw, forget about the score standing of 1 and and none, but ultimately what we saw from either side is conviction in the bot lane, both teams having a formidable bot lane duo and laners, or solo laners rather, that can play around them to accentuate that ability, right? So I'm really curious on their take as to how they played out. Hopefully we do see just a clash of 2 early game AD carries as opposed to this gentleman's agreement. You got Lucian, I guess I have to scale. So I'd love to see them just go all out and just have a bloodbath. Why not? Be entertaining.
Bloodbath, huh?
Get it on.
That sounds like a weird kind of bath.
This is literally a Bliss plays try not to say why not impossible challenge. Every time we've mentioned Bliss, someone has said why not subconsciously.
We need to have a why not counter by the end of this split.
We can make that happen. I'll get it up on my phone.
It's a fun name.
From the fans, you guys, we asked you at the start of the day at LCO on the Twitter sphere, send us in how you're watching the first day of the LCO for 2023, and you guys came through with a couple of good ones, so let's see what you sent in for us to have a quick look at. We've got at DF Retro, Dawn Rose, of course. MacMate straight up staring into my soul, sorry about that, telling me to tweet how I'm watching at home. That would be in the comfort of my couch on my PS4, playing some TFT at the same time. Oh, that's multitasking. Beautiful, beautifully done. You're a TFT, aren't you, Skimmy?
Yeah, I'm a bit of a TFT DJ in my time. Me and Kitty play sometimes, and then I don't know what it is, but Kitty just either blue screens and her PC doesn't turn back on.
Yeah,
or she just comes 8th and goes, I don't know what's happening,
guys. My computer turns off, and I just unfortunately DC from the game, and my screen goes grey.
Right?
Yeah, it's my cat pressing the power button. But what comp do you run on TFT, Mr. Dawn Rose? Mr.
We're going to find out. Do you have the tech?
We need to know.
What is the comp to play?
We'll figure it out next week, tomorrow maybe, I guess. We've got a few more to have a look at. Let's see who it is. We've got at non-legendary Bree. I think you're legendary because you've sent in, you've helped out, you've done your from the fans contribution exciting to be watching LCO again on my comfy couch. The last season I watched was the year they were cancelled.
Oh, don't jinx it, don't
LCO's
jinx
never
it.
been cancelled. No idea what you're talking about. Hopefully, I don't jinx it. Why not supremacy? Hashtag let's win. I understand. I'm on the same train as you, non-legendary Bree. And we got one more to have a quick look at as well. Sorry, you just upset Skimmy and Rusty by saying that.
5 monitors?
At Get Sourced. Yes, the big nerd setup. I'm loving the amount of monitors there.
That's awesome.
Nudge.
Hey, you were the one that was saying you couldn't do that. We don't mess around when watching the
dark side,
LCO
yeah.
and co-streaming. So he was co-streaming as well today. Hopefully you all got to see him dropping that one and watching us on the sidelines. But look,
Which monitor
ready
does
to
chat
go.
on? Which monitor does chat on? He's got so many choices.
It looks like
the one on the right?
the second top left one. No, that's code.
Loki looks like he's coding on the right.
Bottom middle
Oh.
left. Bottom middle left on the right. Yeah. That's
Have you
chat.
got monitors for days, Dave?
Yeah.
That is a great setup, bro.
Please answer us.
I am
Which
envious.
monitor
I
do you
love
have chat
that.
on? We need to know now.
It's somewhere. He's probably got it up there 7 times, but we're just all
Big fan.
I'm going to say middle
Squinting.
top on the right.
middle.
Well, I'm
top
putting
on
my
the
bets
right.
on the very right.
Well, I can see it, but I already told you where it was. Either way, thank you,
Can't
Dave,
see.
for that one. And I hope that your co-stream went well. I hope you got to see yourself and everyone in chat was like, "Oh, Dave, well, that's you."
Shout out
That's
the
this guy.
co-streamers.
That's
Yeah.
this guy. Hey, look at this guy. Anyway, that was a fun day, wasn't it? Day 1, only 3 games, relatively quick, and it might be the same affair tomorrow. But I need to say thank you all so much for tuning in. Any final words from you 3 before we wrap it up?
It's happy to be back.
Good to be back.
Yes.
Feels great to be back
Excited
with
to
the
be
team.
back.
Backstreet's back.
Backstreet's back. All right, and that's it for the LCO Day 1 for 2023. We'll see you tomorrow for much more LCO action. See you then.
Forwards, even if backwards or taking Aladoric there was the best move. He started up number 2.
Oh, baby! Tearing me. That is really a double buff.
Raise.
Lucian. Oh, okay! Completely missed! You might die to the tower more so than anything so far. Chiefs just can't answer back. There's a cleanse. It does nothing. Mid-wave, Raze now respawning. Dragon still leashed. In they jump. Nah goes out. He's gone back to Mini. In goes Usart Battery looking for the kill. Solar Flare onto top of 2. The Dragon is the passenger that kills. They're all going the way of Chiefs right now. It's an absolute decimation here. The fadeaway spear wasn't enough. Just out of range to try and tickle Limes. But you can't actually disengage away. Bubble not to answer back. And that's an ultimate with a wild growth to save Gooby.
Here comes
I think you
Schönfire.
bit off a little bit more than you can chew. Schönfire doesn't have flash, but he can just punch in. Receive the buff from Nami, and isolate out a kill. Gooby dead for rights. Oh, Dante's skirting away. Can they find it? He's bleeding. Dongy says, "I'll get this one. Don't worry." The shield evaporates, and so does he. Once more, he wants a reset. He'll die for his crimes.
Epic can tank this.
Unbelievable. Can Emphas get anything? He can't
No.
again. He's waiting creative just to play around his cooldowns.
Absolutely.
Oh, Chaz. Well, he's made a miracle happen there, but now Akano's got. Oh, he's missed a bubble.
Decoy.
That's it, decoy.
Hit the auto.
One more auto.
No,
Oh,
hit
two
another
more
auto.
autos. Poltron, please.
Oh, okay.
That was agonizingly close to being a disengaged angle there from Akano. Now Poltron's come in and swept the ladder. Baseball knocked it out of the park.